Chef Joseph's Kick Salsa Entrepreneurs channel. Welcome back. Glad you can make it back. So, however, today I want to discuss something with you that another topic of discussion that I think would be of interest, for today's subject. And many of you may have experienced this. Some of you may be going through this, but this is a pretty serious subject that I want to bring to your attention because as an entrepreneur moving into whatever it is that you're desiring to do with your life, with your craft, things like that. Some of you are stuck in situations that are not healthy. But you know it's not healthy, but you know that you just can't seem to put a finger on it. Like what is it? You know it's something that's off, but you don't know quite what that is. You know. But we're going to talk about today how to identify what I'll be talking about today. And the title for today is what do you do when your soul starts to shift? What do you do when your soul starts to shift? Spiritual intelligence. One more time. What do you do when your soul starts to shift? Spiritual intelligence. So, back to what I was saying initially is that a lot of people are caught up into circumstances and situations that, whether it's friendships, marriages, business partners, whatever it may be, but something is off. And it's like you see yourself ascending. Matter of fact, you don't see it, you can feel it. You can see it too in some cases. But you're starting to ascend, and whatever you're attached to is stagnant. See what I'm saying? Your soul is beginning to shift. Man, yeah, that's pretty heavy. To those of you all who know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. I know when I first got on this journey as an entrepreneur that I remember when I had my barbershop. And I went through this transformation period because my soul was beginning to shift. I had a very successful barbershop in a small town, beautiful country town, but my soul was beginning to shift. I couldn't explain it. I just knew that it was time to go. And some of you all are exactly in that position today. You know, you're attached to things that you can clearly feel yourself ascending to your next level, whatever that may be. But you may be connected to a job or to people, relationships, marriages, things like that, that you're like, man, I'm ascending, but this situation is trying to hold me back. See what I'm saying? That's why it's important to be aligned with the right people in your lives. Very important for that. Very, very important to be aligned with the right people who are supposed to be in your lives. So many people get into circumstances and situations and they're connected to people who don't share their same goals and their same values. But what do you do when your soul starts to shift? You know what I'm saying? This is an inner thing. This is not, just a dream. And it can be a dream, but it's really an inner thing, a spiritual clock, if you will, that the Most High puts in all of us when it's the time for us to start shifting to that next chapter. I can tell you in 2026 now that a lot of people have not put in the work. A lot of people, and they're frustrated behind it. Rightfully so. You know, they've been going down this road for 50 plus years, believing, hoping, in some cases, waiting on the sky to crack. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't happen. I think I'll be a little frustrated too. And I see this in our day-to-day, in my day-to-day walk, you know, that people are becoming unraveled because they made choices. And when it was time for their soul to shift, to start that business, to start that new venture, and they didn't take it because of fear, you know, and that door or that window has closed. So you go on with your life, and then you look up in your 50s and 60s, and you're like, man, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. I should have did this business. I should have did this. I should have did that. But you actually didn't do it because when your soul was shifting, you didn't really pay attention to that. That's real dangerous. Very dangerous. That's very dangerous because your soul was telling you it was time to shift and you did not listen. I'm in a position, not a position, but I'm in a place right now where my soul has shifted. Some of you may be asking, how do you know when your soul is beginning to shift? I'm talking about your inner person, your inner man, your inner woman, your inner chi. You know, it begins to shift. It's calling you to higher ground. One of the key signs that you'll know that your soul has shifted or beginning to take flight and to shift is that you'll notice that things don't feel the same anymore. Things don't feel the same. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel the same anymore. You thought that you had a good life doing this, but unfortunately, your soul shifted. You know what I'm saying? And what do you do from this point? One of the main reasons and how you would know that your soul is shifting or beginning to shift is that you don't fit in anymore. You just can't explain it. You don't fit in anymore. You used to fit in, but now you don't. You don't fit in anymore. So what do you do? You know, what do you do? The same friends don't feel like friends anymore. You know what I'm saying? Your same friends, they don't feel like friends anymore. You know, because unfortunately they haven't leveled up. And when you start to shift, when your soul starts to shift, that's something that you really need to pay attention to because the Most High is calling you to your next level. And you can't be afraid of that next level. You can't be. You can't be afraid of it. You know, you have to basically walk into that season, you know, if you want to succeed and get the best out of your life, you know, and find your higher purpose. And so that means relationships. Some of you have to cut some relationships off because your soul is shifting. It's calling you for more. Man, yo, check this out. So y'all remember The Color Purple, right? You remember when Suge Avery, when she was in the juke joint? Just think about that part for a minute. Now, I'm not saying nothing wrong with the juke joint at all. It's a time and a place for everything. For real. Nothing wrong with the juke joint. But if you notice that particular scene, for those of you who know the movie, The Color Purple, Oprah Winfrey, of course, she was in it as well. Very good movie. But remember when Suge Avery was in the juke joint? And this is not just about the church in particular, okay? Just want to make that clear. But she was in the juke joint and she stopped singing. And she kind of looked back over her shoulder and everybody was looking like, what's up, Suge? But her soul was calling her. Her soul was calling her. You understand what I'm saying? Her soul was calling her to that next level. And that's how your life will unfold. You know, when that chapter starts to turn, okay, you've been reading this book, and when you start to turn that next page, you know, to the next chapter of your life, unfortunately, you may have to leave some people behind. And I think that is probably one of the most painful things because some people have been with you on your journey for years. But what do you do when your soul calls for you? When your soul is crying for you, calling you to go higher. You don't have to fight about it. To those of you who are in relationships, you don't have to fight about it. You don't have to argue about it. Your soul is calling for you to go higher. In some cases, that could be a very painful conversation because some of you have been attached to people that thought that you would go to the end with them, all the way to the end, to death do us part, etc. Which I definitely believe in the institution of commitment, you know. And but what happens when your soul is crying for you to go, calling for you to go higher? Yeah, you would have to have a conversation, in my opinion. Not a judgmental conversation, not a conversation that you're bashing anyone, not a conversation that you're putting down anyone. But it can be painful because you've gone as far as you can go. But God, the Most High, whether you want to identify with Allah, whether you want to identify with Yeshua, whether you want to identify with the Most High, whatever your higher calling is, you can identify with that. And yes, people will be hurt. Some people will be hurt. But what do you do? Your soul is calling for you to go higher. Which one would you choose? On one hand, you can have this relationship or business partnership or this job. I mean, I'm putting it in a genre of different things where it could be many different facets of what I'm speaking about. But what you have to remember is that if you settle for that, that means the next generation behind you may miss what you have to say. For real. And you have to answer for that. So on one hand, you can choose to settle, or you can follow your soul and go to that higher calling. And with that higher calling, there are going to be many people and that will be sent to you or that you would run into that are on that same journey. Let me break it down to you. So let's think about it this way. You know how it is when you're on the highway traveling and you could be going like out of town somewhere and you may have been, you in this other vehicle may have been traveling 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 miles on this same stretch. But eventually they have to get off. Such is life. Eventually they have to get off on their exit. You'll never see them again. You can't be mad at them. Oh, y'all got off on the exit. We supposed to be going all the way down this whole highway together. But their destination was calling them to go somewhere different. You can't be mad at that. The best way to handle that, if you're in that situation and someone comes to you with, hey, this is just not working for me. My advice to you is to listen and to send it off with love. Send it off with love. Send it off with peace. Send it off with blessings. And wish that person or that situation the best. Because you'll be judged based on how you handle that. For example, let's use a job for a situation, for example. I've seen people come for a job and they swear up and down, this is what they want. This is what Jesus sent to them. White Jesus, black Jesus, baby Jesus. I got that out. I heard that somebody say that. It's just a little inside joke. And they swear up and down, this is what was sent to them, and this is what they want to do. And the first thing that's said to them is, hey, if we're going to give you this shot, and this is just an example, and I've seen the same example as well, um, but the first thing that's said to them is, hey, if we're going to take a chance at you or with you, if this doesn't work for you, just let someone know. Don't just quit because we believed in you. This job, these people, they believed in you and they gave you a chance. But what do? You quit anyway. Just walk out the door. And you want to know why some of you are still having hard times, falling on bad luck. Maybe you need to go back and correct some of the mistakes in your past. Really. If it permits. Now let's just use, if I'm just for an example, if I was in a situation and I know that I did not treat someone right, you have to lose the pride. I would have no pride going back to that job, even if they are done with me. But it's the fact of the matter, it's the principle that I did not handle the situation correctly. I apologize. I shouldn't have done you that way. There are quite a few people knocking at my door right now for second and third chances because they know that they were treated right by me. Not just me, but others in the camp. But the way you handle it, slamming doors, whatever, because you want to talk back to the owner of a company, just using that for an example, because you feel like you want to voice your opinion to the owner of the company and you're dismissed, you're going to get mad. Just saying. If you're working for a company and you got the CEO of Target, the CEO of Walmart, the CEO of any of these companies that you see out here, when they come in and they say what they need to say, they may or may not be up for any debate or questioning. And who are you to even feel like you want to question it? You know what I'm saying? They're paying you to do a job. If there's no rebuttal, this is what needs to be done. Period. But I look and have seen those people do these things, and they are still the ones out in the street. They're still out there, getting caseworkers to do stuff with them because they didn't want to follow procedure. You know? But I'm just saying that to say that if you're going to go forward and you are in a transition and your soul is calling you to go higher, be careful how you exit that situation. That's very important. People enter into circumstances, into situations one way. They enter into them, oh, everything good. But they exit them the wrong way. And guess what? Eventually, you're going to run out of bridges. You burned all your bridges, then what? But when your soul is calling for you to go higher, you know what I'm saying? You got to be careful of how you enter situations. You also have to be careful how you exit them. Because if someone comes to you, and let's just say you're the victim of that particular scenario, take it in love. Some birds are not meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. Shawshank Redemption, Morgan Freeman. One of my favorite movies. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to leave y'all with that today, is that when your soul is beginning to call you to higher ground, you know what I'm saying? Will you answer? Spiritual intelligence. So anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I'm glad y'all could be here with me today. And I just wanted to kind of put this video out to basically be mindful of that because there is a shift happening. 2026, some of you all have goals, you have aspirations, you have things that the Most High is calling you to do, to go higher in your life. But when that happens, don't just walk away from people who gave you chances. Don't walk away from people who believed in you. Just go to them and say, hey, I don't think this is going to work for me. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? That will carry you a long way. And not to mention that you may have to cross that bridge again one day. But if you burnt the bridge, then what? See what I'm saying? And then, yeah, so there's a situation now, and I'll leave y'all with this. There was a situation with a guy, professional chef, actually. I mean, Super Bowl material chef, and worked with NFL teams and everything. We're personal friends. He started out working for me actually, and but his soul called him to go a different direction. But guess what? We are still friends to this day. You know, we've had some tight moments in the pocket working together, but because our situation was handled with respect, with dignity, the door is still open and we have a wonderful friendship. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So when your soul is calling for you to go higher, you know what I'm saying? Don't just walk away from those people who believe and invested in you. Okay? So anyway, I'm out of here with that. Thank you for your time. Chef Joseph's Kick Sauce for Entrepreneurs channel. You can go to chefjosephskicksauce.com. You can go to the Entrepreneurs tab if you need a consultation. I'll be glad to give you a consultation and how to help you get on your entrepreneurial path. All right, I gotta go. I'm a little bit off schedule today, but however, it's gonna be a pretty good day. But anyway, y'all have a good one. Gotta go. Peace.